Hello, everyone. Welcome to our second session in the Teams Apps and Healthcare Roadshow. Our focus has been on helping our customers adapt, automate, and engage their organizations, leveraging Teams and extending that into the platform behind the scenes that really enables so many real-world use cases to come to life and simplify the environment and experience for so many in so many situations. Looking forward to our session today, and I'll just introduce myself. I am Mark Barnes. I'm a Senior Customer Success Manager out of Chicago, Illinois. We also have with us peers Joe Johnson and Vasu Sharma, who are US-based customer success managers like myself. We have a special guest, John Pan, another peer who has worked with a group to put together an application to help with adoption and surfacing different types of learning information and other uses out there. So he will be joining us to go through that. Our agenda today, we'll touch just a little bit on platform. We, in our session last week, went through a lot of detail around what does it mean when we talk about Teams as a platform. And we've got the recordings out there in our Health and Life Sciences blog post. You'll be able to access prior sessions. This one will be, as well as next week when we go into third-party applications. Our focus today will be on app templates that are available from Microsoft, as well as specialty applications in Teams. They're apps Microsoft has created. They're already there for you. We touched on what they are last week. We'll dive in a little bit deeper. And so we'll go through the list of apps that you see on our screen. Finally, we'll talk about Microsoft programs and ways we can partner with you and your organization to help enable these. In short order, we want to help you be successful. That is our goal. As we get into this, we're talking about new things, new opportunities for you to be successful. And we really focused in a bit last week on, people are busy, and we know that. But that busyness doesn't mean that they're productive. They're spending a lot of time looking for information, not being able to find it quickly, managing their email, going into meetings, in some cases management not even having all the information that they need at a time when information is changing rapidly day in and day out. Let us help you. That busyness is not helping you right now in being more successful in providing the service and achieving the mission of your organization and what you do day in and day out. Use these ideas that we're providing for you to help to build on that and gear more towards a productive environment than just a busy environment. Microsoft Teams. We know people are there. They've been getting into it heavily over the last few years. Skype replacement for chat, collaboration on documents. We're seeing so many different use cases of how teams are organizing and pulling in all these information. And what we really want to do is we want to help you meet people where they already are. Millions of users are in Teams every single day. As we expand, we're building out, we've got that what we call the Office 365 ecosystem, allowing you to leverage things that your organization is really already paying Microsoft for. They're already there through Office 365. SharePoint, Stream for video, Forms for surveys, polls, quizzes, Planner for task management, OneNote, just straight up documentation. So many functions, features, even beyond that in Office 365 available to you to collaborate without any custom anything, no extra steps. You're able to add them as tabs in your team, begin using them. You can also use them in your personal chats with other groups. Look for that little plus up at the top that says add a tab. You can do that inside of your chats. You can do that in meetings where you can add polls or other things to engage your audience within your meetings. do more, focusing on now that outer circle that we have there in the picture, where we can pull in from just thousands of third-party created applications or application integrations with Teams, as well as Microsoft provided applications for Teams. So much more that you can continue to build out and then really meet that key aspect of this, of meeting people where they are, providing that seamless experience, providing that reduced friction. Sometimes we can't go pure frictionless, because yes, it's still work. We still have to do our jobs and it's part of the day, but we can reduce a lot of the overhead that people have to click, 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 change screens, change applications, bring that down. So as we start to look at this concept, we kind of break it down, and we've got really, here's like the second ring in the prior slide. This becomes, so those third-party apps doesn't even include all the Microsoft apps, but then we get into the third ring of extending and doing more within Teams. You also have the ability to create custom applications using the platform. We have Power Apps, where you can create new interfaces, link to data, be it SharePoint, other data sources, even back into your enterprise apps. Create all types of automation, workflows. You could do bots. Power Virtual Agents are something that you can do without having the slightest clue how to actually make a bot. It's available to you today if your organization is licensed for it. Start to build out on these app templates and pull them in, enabling your organization through a citizen development approach to go forth with the right type of IT guardrails around that will help them solve for their business needs while still being in adherence to whatever policies or other governance are in place for your organization, to make sure that you are properly protecting and meeting any types of regulatory requirements. We'll talk a lot today about application templates, and we see the full catalog link there in the slide. We'll even post that in the Q&A forum for this meeting, to make sure you can go look at all of the different application templates that are available to you. This is production ready code. You are able to pull in, and then you may customize it, extend it further to meet your organization's needs. Maybe it's just branding with logos and colors for your org. Maybe it goes beyond that, where you want to modify or even add functionality into that app. This is open source, available to you. Each application has full descriptions. It has documentation just about the app, as well as detailed deployment instructions, architecture overviews. In some cases, when we get into leveraging bot infrastructure from Azure, there might be a bit of a cost to the consumption of Azure. All that information is available, including the ability to do cost estimation through GitHub on these applications. So please get that link in your browser and bookmark it. Go to a browser-based search. Just type in Microsoft Teams apps templates, and you'll be able to quickly find this screen. How does this fit into the overall strategy and approach for Teams? And really, we've got the app store within Teams already. So many apps are in there. Might be Microsoft, might be third party, depending on your organization and what's been enabled. This kind of goes up to that next level where it's a full app template. These are low code / no code apps, we call them, because they were built leveraging the platform. They're built with Power Automate or Power Apps, leveraging our bot framework that already exists. So that's really where these app templates fit. The next step up of that is when you create new applications from scratch. They can still be done in low code, no code, or maybe you need a true developer to create something that meets a solution for you. You have that opportunity within Teams to do that day in and day out. We will get to the end. We'll talk about programs as well, where Microsoft can help with resources and potentially funding to help you enable that as well. Lots of things that we go through. We did this last week. Last week was a lot of slideware focus. Very soon we're going to flip over and we're going to focus in. We want to demo a lot of what we will go through, and not just focus on PowerPoint slides, but what we're really trying to get to is the idea that if you need to solve for a business issue, business scenario, whatever that is, you've got the opportunity here within Teams, and Teams as a platform can help you with that. But we don't want to overwhelm. We want to create awareness for really it's only some of what's already there. For you, hopefully you would get an idea that would say, oh, this will directly meet my need, or potentially, maybe I need a little bit of help. And we invite you to partner with your Microsoft account team to help explore what that might be. But please do not be overwhelmed. We really want to focus in on what is your use case. Pick the one that you need to get really solved for. Maybe it's something with existing pain points, or just something new that you think, wow, if we could do this, and really we would call it digitally transform whatever that thing might be into an app or a process. Think that through that as far as just what is it? How do you really want it to do whatever it's going to do? How would it alleviate pain points in that process? And then let us help you with surfacing that up and creating that solution for your organization. At this point, I'm going to turn this over to Vasu. Vasu is going to talk to us about our first application template on the agenda today, our diversity and inclusion app. So Vasu, I invite you to take over the screen share, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mark, and thanks for providing that wonderful introduction. I'm just going to talk about Art of the Possible through a very important use case, and this is hot off the press. We're making this available as an app template in the next few days here. It's called the Diversity and Inclusion Connect app. It's something that will surface all of your D&I resources inside of Teams and empower your organization to take it one step further with certain interactions that we've built inside of the Teams application. You guys might be wondering, why is there a need or durability for this app? These days, more than ever, there's a need to bring your workforce together, keep it more engaged. And we know from research that diverse teams that connect well amongst themselves, are more productive. That's why we've stitched some experiences that we found internally from best practices at Microsoft, and having talked to dozens of customers across the board, to bring in the D&I Connect app into the Teams experience, which you can use as your Office of Diversity or Office of HR, roll it out broadly into the organization, and promote that culture of employee engagement. I'm going to focus on primarily 4 personas as part of this application. There's the average employee, in this case, Carl. We've got Jordan, who leads ERG projects at a chapter level, or employee resource groups at a chapter or a local level. We've got Joanna, who's the divisional lead for diversity and inclusion. And then there's senior executive leadership in Lydia, right? So typically that would cover your entire spectrum of employees. But then think about how targeted you could be with these 3 personas. The D&I Connect app shows up inside of Teams, pinned to the left rail here, so that it's readily discoverable and accessible for all employees. And you've got certain basic functionalities. Up on the top, you see a multi-tab experience. The first tab is a chat-based interface that allows you to do a bunch of things. It allows you to post a welcome message, first up. It allows you a call to action for somebody to click and discover an employee resource group. You can also pair up the chat with some kind of a outbound communication template to make it a broadcast channel that you'd like to engage your employees into. But out of the box, the chat experience basically welcomes the user, as well as allows them the option to discover existing employee resource groups. Clicking on which takes you to the next tab and gives you the option to find and sign up for any of the diversity groups that you offer in your organization. So here in my case, I've got one for photography, one for Asians, one for Gleam. There's one for all African Americans at Contoso. Contoso is the sample enterprise that we're going to use in this demo over and over again, right? If I do choose to click on any of the tiles that you see here, I do have the option to sign up to those respective groups with a due approval process that I'll talk about here shortly. The next tab is all resources. So if you're part of HR, if you're part of employee engagement teams, think about all the different links, all the different resources that you want your employees to keep handy when it comes to diversity and inclusion, when it comes to feeling part of the employee engagement experience, right? You can hard pin or create a static tab on the top to bring all of those resources into one consolidated pane of glass. Now, the creation of a group experience is an additional extension, if you will, of this app. Imagine if there are several diversity groups in your organization, but there's one in particular that's not out there. How do you request for one, right? So up on the top, on the join a group page, you'll see this option which says new ERG request, clicking on which you do have the option to then go ahead and provide some details about the type of your group, a link, an image, certain tags, and make it search enabled so that people in the organization can find it. Once you create all of this, you can hit submit. And what it does essentially is it brings this information or this request back to the central D&I team. Remember when we talked about personas, and I'll quickly move back a few slides. When we talked about personas, we talked about Joanna and Lydia being part of the D&I leadership, whether at a divisional level or at the central level. A group of such individuals can be part of a D&I comms or D&I admins team. That admin team essentially receives this request for approval. So here you can see somebody's requested a community for families, right? With a certain location and some tags that they want to use. This group or whoever is part of the committee that decides which ERGs need to be exposed to the organization now have the option to approve or reject this request for creating this new ERG. Meaning you can tightly control the proliferation of resource groups in the organization, but at the same time, you allow employees to self-select and self-sign up for new experiences, right? Once you do become part of an ERG or a group, if you will, there's this icebreaker experience that we've introduced, right? So this application behind the scenes matches you with other people within the same ERG or enterprise, the employee resource group, right? The idea here is we always have communities that are created and one moderator typically ends up posting most of the stuff. We're looking to build on that experience by creating connections between different nodes of that little group and not just have it be a top-down communication, right? So if I join an Asians at Contoso group, I will be matched with a colleague at a certain frequency, and I do have the option to either propose a meetup within Teams or to have a chat with the peer or coworker that I've been matched with. Of course, this is an opt-in procedure, so I do have the option to pause these matches if I don't wish to socialize any further, right? Extrapolating on that experience, and I'll quickly turn it to Joe here to talk more about this, is when you have essentially created your employee resource group, you do have the option to extrapolate through things like employee ideas or like an ideation board that you can create, examples of which and the details of which Joe will talk about here shortly. But know that by bringing this experience out of Teams, you do have the ability to extrapolate using some of the artifacts we'll show later on in today's presentation. Joe, with that, I'm going to turn it over to you to talk about Microsoft-specific turnkey apps inside of Teams.
Perfect. Thank you, sir. I'm just spinning up my desktop here. All right, everybody should see that in just 1 second. Excellent. So I'll kind of recap just a little bit based on where we left off during our last session, just to kind of tee this up. But we want to talk, I want to kick us off with my section regarding a few of the specialty apps that are already built and turned on and enabled in the App Store. So just a little bit of a refresher here. If we go into our ellipsis inside of Teams, and I can click on this More Apps button, this is your App Store. So this is where you're going to see all of your applications that would or could reside inside of Teams. This is all managed through IT, but you'll notice we have our, just to kick off on the top part here, so personal app spots, tabs. Then we have this built for Contoso. So this would be specific applications that your organization has purpose built. We're going to talk about them just a little bit later today, and uploaded into your available applications. Inside of here are Microsoft apps and third-party apps. So if I click in here, I can search for a lot of different Microsoft applications. I could just type Microsoft and I can see here are some Microsoft. So I can see who the developer is right here. And you'll notice there's a ton of these that have Microsoft on them because we have a plethora of I'll say apps or app templates, if you will, kind of created in here. And here's just a kind of a snapshot of many of them. So we think about bookings or scheduling or polling, roadmap, where are we going with the project? So how do we bring projects in together? Lots of different things that we can do here. So specifically today, what we want to do is dive in a little bit to this employee ideas app that's running, and then also this inspections app. So we just picked a couple of them that we wanted to deep dive and show you how they operate. So with that, I'll go ahead and start off with the employee ideas app. So with this, I would just, well, actually, before I get started, let me show you there are two types of applications. There's one type of application that runs inside of a team, and then there's another type of application that runs along the left bar. So you'll notice if I type communities, which is communities is actually the Yammer plugin for Teams. So this brings your Yammer experience into Teams. And if I click on this, what you'll see is it actually says open here. It would normally say install, but I already have it installed in my demo tenant and it's already here on the left bar. So it'll just say open if I wanted to go there. Here it is right here on the left bar. The other one, the other opportunity is this employee ideas app, which if I click on this one now, you'll notice it says add to a team. So this is a team level application. So this would not get pinned over here on the left bar. It would be actually inside a team. So I could go here and I could hit add a team, and then it's going to let me choose. So these are all the teams that I'm an owner of where I could actually add an application into that team. So I could pick it here. And if I did, I'll just pick one here. You'll see it says I could set this tab up. Right? So that's one option. The other option is I could go ahead and from my team site, so from where I'm working, let's just say this Contoso IT. Oh, I already did that one. So let's go to the leadership board here. So I just went to the general tab. I can hit plus right here on the top bar. And again, I can start searching for this. And you'll notice it shows up. I can click on it. And it already figures, since I'm on this channel in this team, that's where I want to add this. So you can see right here it's saying go ahead and add this to the team. So those are the two different ways that you can add an application or different types of applications that are already in the App Store to your team and or left bar. So let's go ahead and jump into employee ideas. I already have it running in this leadership team. And when I think about the leadership team, you know, we've got a group of folks and, you know, we got all of our leaders, we've got this committee put together, and we're trying to really strategize how we drive our business forward. How do we evolve? How do we retain folks? How do we recruit folks? Managing events, you can see across the bar here, we've got events, recruiting, reviews, training. So these are different topics that we all work together on and collaborate on and kind of drive the direction of the organization, right? So what we wanted to do is we wanted to put a place where we could make it really easy to focus in on certain things, certain, we'll say, opportunities for the organization, and give people the opportunity for everybody to kind of collaborate and have input on how we might move forward in these specific areas. So to do that, we thought we would use this employee ideas application and give it a shot. So you can see here, I've went ahead and I installed it. And as the owner of the team, I get a couple different tabs here. I get an ideas tab and a manage ideas tab. So let's start with the manage ideas. Both these tabs are created when I deployed the app inside this channel. So as I go in here, you'll notice, okay, here's my manage ideas. I get this kind of dashboard view where I can see the top contributors. I can see the weekly top ideas that have been posted in here. The structure of this app is simple, super simple. You pick a campaign or a category. So what is the challenge question? What are you trying to solve for, right? Tell me the problem statement so we can give you ideas on how to fix that problem statement or improve that problem, right? So think of those as campaigns. So you can see across here, I've got 5 campaigns loaded up. So each one of these is a category. So if I talk about this talent development program, okay, so talent development programs, talent retention is a competitive advantage to our organization. We're looking for ideas on how to modernize our discovery and mentorship of future leaders. So that's kind of our campaign or category. So if I click on that, it's going to open it up and it's going to show me then the ideas that were submitted, and you can open this so everybody can submit their own ideas. So I can see, well, we've got mentor matchup, we've got leadership discovery day. I can read kind of what the concept is, and then I can upvote ones or downvote if I choose to, right? I can say, ooh, I really like that one. Let's go ahead and upvote it. So it gives everybody an opportunity to kind of centralize their thoughts and ideas and also vote on ideas. So we can say, hey, the top 2 or 3, that's how we're going to, let's dive into these. Let's have a working session and see which direction we should go. The other thing, so let me go back just one here. Oops, manage ideas. From a management perspective, now that we know how the structure is set up, I can go in and I'm going to go and I can do a couple things for this specific application. So I can limit who has the opportunity to create new campaigns to just team owners. So maybe we have 3 or 4 team owners and we've got 100 people that belong to the team. Well, the 2 owners would be able to add the campaigns and the other folks would just be able to contribute ideas and vote, which that would be kind of the concept. I can also move this, so I could move it to a different team. Maybe we want to go ahead and shift it over and work under a different team. Maybe we just want to move it to a different channel. Maybe we want to go ahead and create an ideas channel and then shift it off to general and put it down there. We can do that. So we got a couple management things we can do here. From a user perspective, if I go into my ideas tab, I can actually see, again, that dashboard view where it has all of the top contributors. I can see the top ideas. So if I want to go in and vote on these and get my voice heard, I can see that. As we build this out, maybe this is long and drawn out. We've got 30 or 40 different campaigns going in here. I can search for keywords. So maybe I just want to find, hey, is there already a campaign around improved lunch experience? If there, I can type lunch in here and search for it to see if anything shows up, which it doesn't. Okay, excellent. That gives me an opportunity to say, hey, maybe I want to create a new campaign for that category and then allow people to vote on it. The other thing I can do, again, if I jump into one of the categories or one of the campaigns, I can see all the campaigns are here on the left. So it just sort of changes my view a little bit, but I can quickly go through here, so I don't have to spend a lot of time But I can go and say, okay, cafe food, here's the problem statement. I've got one idea. Do I like it? Yes, I do. Cool. No, I want to submit my own idea. So I'm going to say test idea. I can put a description here. I can say, and I'll show you how you can actually manipulate these questions. So you can have different questions here. I just created a couple. So what impact will this have on the organization? I'm going to say, I think it's going to have a really high impact. And what level of effort is it going to take to implement this? You know, it's going to be a little bit, but not too bad. So I'm going to put it at a 3. I could attach supporting documents here. I could put a URL and description. I can make it fun. I can upload a little video, or not a video, an image, so I can give it a little bit of flair if I wanted to. And then I'll submit this idea. And you'll see here it says share with the channel. So with that, now a new idea has been posted. So there's going to be a post of that over on post. So I'm going to return to my idea list. And I'm going to go to the next one. Say, okay, in-person meetings. Well, I like this one. Okay, good. Return to workplace. Yeah, these are both really interesting to me. So let me go ahead and click on those. I don't really think this is going to work anymore. So I'm going to undo my vote there. So I can go through and manipulate this and I guess share my voice at any time. So that's really the essence of how quick and easy it is to use employee ideas. You saw how I downloaded it and added it in here. So with that, let's jump over. Like I said, the other one we were going to go after is this inspections app and kind of dive in there a little bit. And then once I do that, I'll show you the back end of Power Apps, sort of where I would go in and manipulate any of this. So perhaps I don't want to call this ideas and manage ideas. I can change that. Perhaps I want to alter some of the categories here, maybe add a little bit of different things, maybe some automated workflow in here or something. All that's possible. This is a template that's built on the Power Automate platform, so you can go in and adjust it as needed. It gives you that starting place to make sure you're going to be able to get value in the organization, and then you can expand that as you want. So let's jump over then to this Contoso Health. And in Contoso Health, I just created, again, this one for inspections. And I said, okay, so we're Contoso Health. We've got 4 organizations. And we want to, we've been inspecting different areas of the business. We do these daily inspections, these weekly inspections, and it's all manual. We write it down on a piece of paper. We get everything gathered together. We add it into a spreadsheet at the end of the week. We add all weeks together, so at the end of the month we can get this report. So it's kind of clunky, but it's, we get it and we get the job done. But we thought, let's pilot this inspections app and let's see if we can maybe automate this process a little bit. So again, I went in and I just went to the ellipsis and I added inspections app and I added it to this team. And I actually created a separate channel for it instead of putting it in general. I thought that was a good idea. Now, the inspections app, because it's an inspection, you can say, hey, we've got a door lock that's not working properly. We need to have somebody fix that. So we can assign a task to that. So along with inspections, I just created this planner tab and I called it the inspection assignment. And it was super easy. It took me all of 5 seconds to connect these two together. So now if I'm in an inspection or I create an inspection and I assign a task out, we actually have a bulletin board right here where I can assign anybody in the team to handle that specific task. You could connect this back to some sort of a ticketing system. You could do anything you want. But again, it's just a turnkey, lightweight, easy to deploy and use right out of the gate. Let's make sure it's going to be valuable, and then we can expand on it to a broader extent. So let's go through the inspection app. Again, I added it, so I have this management capability. So let me show you a little bit of the management features of this particular application. Let it load up here. I'm going to say, I see this, got it, good. So what you'll notice, we've got locations, we've got inspection forms, we've got these different locations here. So these are actual locations. This is kind of just the kind of a bucket of locations, these are the locations. I go to inspection forms for the bucket, and I can see there's 2 types of forms available here. Well, I can jump in and I can go ahead and edit some of this information. So I just click on my little edit button here. And again, I can restrict the ability to do any of this just to the team owners if I want. I can assign this to a different team like we did before. I can assign it to a different channel. I could even assign it to a different planner. Maybe we already had a planner operational for the organization or for this particular type of a task. I could assign that planner to there instead of creating a new one. The other thing I can do, I can go to the location type. So right now, I only have 2 location types in here, clothing and food. And I've got a little icon, right? So I can add a location. So I can add a 3rd, 4th, doesn't matter. So whatever I want, I can do those here. I can go to the customize the experience. So maybe instead of calling it an inspection, I want to call it a walk. And I'm going to show you, let me just jump back over here to inspections because I want you to see this before I go make this change. You'll see right here, it says perform an inspection. So let's say I'm a user. Now I'm going to go perform this inspection. I said, man, inspection is such a harsh word. It's not really good. Let's just call it a walk. So I'm going to go back into that management icon. I'm going to go to customize the experience. And I'm going to change that to walk because I think that would be better. And then let's call instead of, let's leave this location. You can see here's location, location type. That's these words. So I can customize this and change this how I want, but let's just change walk and we'll call it good. So now you'll notice here's walk forms. It already updated pretty quick, right? Let's go ahead and go back over to inspection. So that's really the management piece. Let's look at what does it look like from a user perspective. So here I am a user. I came in, I'm going to go perform this inspection. So I get my leaderboard right here, right? Tells me what's been going on. So far, I have no walk tasks, so nobody's assigned a task to me, but I haven't completed anything either. So I've been kind of sitting by the wayside here. So I'm going to go ahead and perform a walk. So I'll do that. And it says, okay, well, what location are you going to walk? So where are you going to go do this task? Let's just say we're going to do the front desk. And okay, so my choice is here. And again, all this is customizable based on whatever experience flow need you need. Let's just say we want to, I filled everything, we're good. So here's where I can say, did you fill all the available products? Yes. Do I want to take a photo? I could. Do I want to add a note? I could. Do I want to assign a task? Maybe there's something going on here. Yes. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and click task. I'm going to assign this task over to Alan. And yeah, because I'm Megan right now. Let's do Patty. Find one of my people here. Here we go. So there's Patty. So I'm going to say, yep, I want to assign this to Patty. I'm going to say, please check the levels of fluid in the cart. Don't have no idea what that means. I'm just typing it to put a message in here. So I'm going to say, I'm going to add that task. So quick and simple. Yes, I've added a task. My second question, did the packet perfect standards of display or yes, we'll just say yes. I'm going to say, I don't need anything else. We're good. So I'm going to say, I want to review what I did. Okay, I completed both tasks. I answered the questions. We're good. I'm going to go ahead and submit that walk. Done. Now, normally, remember in the beginning when I said, okay, I'd write this on a piece of paper, we just stick it on a bin. And at the end of the week, we put everything together. And at the end of the month, we put everything together to get these reports. So now there is no bin. This is electronic. It's already in here. So I can return home. And you'll notice here, I've now contributed one walk report to the team's total of 3. So somebody else did 2. I did 1. So again, just get this little leaderboard here. Now let's say I want to review inspections. So I can go in and we'll allow, since I haven't done that yet, we'll go ahead and allow the permissions here. So now I can go in and I can say, okay, let's check it out. At ambient, these are the inspections or the walks that have been completed. I can see backstage had 1, the front desk had 4, and frozen. Oh, nobody's done anything at frozen yet. So it gives me that visibility just right away. I can also go in and I can come into this, and perhaps it's pending review. I can go ahead and close this out. It's good to go. Or maybe it's missing information. I could put it as incomplete. I'm going to close this one out. And then we'll go back to, I hit the back button here, sorry. And you'll notice I just closed it out. So we're good here. So now I can still see this one's incomplete, this one's pending. So it gives me that visual dashboard of what's going on. And then if I go over to the inspection assignment, this is where you'll notice that here's where your assignments would be. Now I assign that to Patty, and I'm in here as Megan, so I don't have anything. Let me go over to Patty real quick, and we'll just see how my demo environment's working. Oh, we're in Contoso Health, sorry. Inspections, and I want to go check out. I could have just went over to the planner, and saw if I have something there. And sure enough, my demo is not working. So normally my task would be right here, but this is the demo gods playing tricks on me. So we've got your inspections here. So when we look at, how do we customize these items? I'll just go through that real quick and then pass this over for our next demonstration, but super easy. I can go in, and part of those applications, let's just go to Alan here. So part of the applications, when I go to the ellipsis, you'll see I have Power Apps right here. So I can click on Power Apps, and that's going to, because all these are basically Power Apps that are running inside the environment. So you can see here's my employee ideas. And here's my inspection, manage inspection, and review inspection. So each one of those tabs has its own page here. So super simple. I can go in and easily dig into that application and tweak to how it, add content, add questions. I could add different flows or tasks, whatever we need to do to accomplish the goals of the organization. So that's what I have for the employee ideas and inspections. Hopefully this was helpful. I was hoping this would load up. Takes a second, but I'll go ahead and pass this over now to John, who's going to showcase our Adoption Hub app. We're not hearing you, John.
All right, am I live today? All right, so hello everybody out in the live eventverse. Real quick, we're midway through this session. Just want to gauge how everyone's doing. If you don't mind going to the Ask a Question portion and just type in the letter K. Let us know that you're getting something from today's session. We'll be sure to publish it, so feel free to post however you like. But we just want to see how everyone's out doing there on the call. With that being said, my name is John Pan. As they noticed, I am a customer success manager with my peers. And today I'm going to go over the Adoption Hub. Now, what I'm going to show you today, I want you to think about any technology that you may have within your organization. But of course, we at Microsoft, we're going to put in some Microsoft stuff to show you how it works for our technology. But by all means, I want you to think about how these tabs can be set up for any of your technologies, such as Workday, Cerner, Epic, ServiceNow, any technologies you may have. With that being said, we start off with a chatbot, right? Focused on Teams. We have Team On, play on Team On, and he is here to help us answer questions around Teams. Real quick, as bots are created, there are designated responses to designated questions. So let's quickly show you something about asking questions about accessibility. And when it comes up, it'll show you questions around. Here it is right here. Sorry, guys. Teams provides accessibility support. You want to find out, or actually, would you like to see an amazing example? We want to click yes. And what actually shows up is a little blurb about readers within Teams. So as you can say, our immersive reader, click on that, immersive reader. So this bot actually helps you learn about the tool through the bot itself. But we all understand that sometimes that a bot can only help so much and you need that human interaction. So to save on time, I'm just going to show you this example here. We typed in a title called collab. We asked the question about how do I collab with my peers, and it was sent. And we created a team for our champion. So you might have a champions network. Sorry for the little slowness today. And we come over to Teams, the question actually lands in a channel. So you could point these questions to a designated channel, whether it's for support or maybe it's for champions. But this is important because I, as a champion, can come in and say, hey, all the other champions, I've got this one. Don't need to respond. And then I can click and chat directly with Megan, right? There's some good examples on how you might need a combination of bot and live support. With that being said, let's go back to the hub. Quickly walk you through some of these tabs. You've already been seeing tabs utilized through the many apps that we've seen today. We have the Technology Home tab, which is just basically an ITIS infrastructure homepage to help highlight project guidelines or project updates of what's going on with your current projects related to Microsoft. Sorry, there's a little load time today. Then we have the instructor-led training, where if you work with your Microsoft account team, they can get you in touch with the customer success training program, which provides you access to tons of instructor-led training to be provided to the rest of your organization. And that's where we capture OneDrive, OneNote, Outlook, Teams 100, Teams 200, effective meeting in Teams, time, dates, and registration links. That can all be captured in this hub as well. Additionally, Microsoft does offer Learning Pathways, which is a SharePoint site where you go, you download and upload into your tenant, which allows you to customize this learning site as you see fit, but it comes with a bunch of Microsoft 365 training as a whole. And additionally, in this particular instance, since it is Teams focused, we went ahead and brought up and highlighted these Teams training videos. The videos that are trying to pop up now are actually the same videos that you can find in your help section down here. Not many people know by clicking on the help button, this help button actually helps. Additionally, let's go ahead and throw a feedback form in there. Maybe when we want to get some questions about the Teams project or another project that's going on, you can come in, click yes, get some feedback from the project, etc. Right? Nothing fancy. It's an app that's pinned. Doesn't have to be pinned, but can be pinned based on the priorities of what's going on within your organization. And then we play around with the tabs based on the content you want to bring into this curation of content. Now, we've been talking a lot about apps today, different versions, different types, but let me spend a few minutes on what it means and how you distribute some of these apps. So I'll share that by showing you some of the back end of how we actually built Adoption Hub. So through App Studio, which you would need permission through your Teams admin, you would then come in, open up the manifest editor, and this is where all your apps can be created on the back end. This is where your citizen developers can build and not impact the rest of your organization. We come into the Adoption Hub app. In the beginning, it's basic content here, nothing fancy. This is who we are, this is what we do, the version controls, etc. Now, the tabs, this is where all the magic happens. Pay close attention because, this is the important stuff and you might get confused here. Let's go ahead and edit that Technology Home. Surprise, it's just links. We built this app sharing links within it. This is part of Microsoft's low-code, no-code approach utilizing App Studio. And this is where your citizen developers who might not know anything about coding can build apps, if you will, utilizing URLs to content that already exists within your organization. And to prove it, I'll quickly show these two other tabs that all we are going through and adding links. This really empowers your citizen developers to build and curate information for their department, for your organization, etc. Now about that bot. The bot is a separate build, which we can provide instructions on how to create bots, and I know Vasu is going to go over the FAQ Plus bot in a minute. But once that bot is created, it's as simple as just entering in the bot ID, which we'll say for another instruction another time. But once you have that ID, you simply come in, you drop it in, and you're done. And the bot is then in there. Now, going back to how people would access these apps, there's pulling, there's pushing, and then there's pinning. So right now, once you develop an app and the team's admin approves your app, you come into the apps portion. This is where you find all your apps, like Joe mentioned earlier, and you'll see built for your company name here. Just because someone created an app and it was approved doesn't mean everyone's going to have it installed on their instance. This is where they come in, click on it. Mine says open because it's already installed, but it would say install. So maybe there's an app only for the HR team or only for the communications team. They could still publish it in case anyone wants to have it, but those particular departments can come and get it. So that's the pull. Now I'm going to come in here real quick to show you where I'm going. We want to go to admin.teams.microsoft.com, and this goes into your admin portal. Pardon while we sign in real quick. Of course, that's going to happen while I'm trying to do this because I misspelled it. Sorry. The reason why I'm actually clicking through these things is to demonstrate for you all how simple it is to create the Adoption Hub and how easy it is to get to the team's admin portal and how easy it is to manage the deployment of said apps. Here we go. And once we're in your team's admin portal, you're going to have access to the team's manage apps area. And managing apps, this is where the approval process comes in. They drop in, they get approved, they get a notification, etc. Right? Just want to be brief and show you this little area here. Then there's pushing apps. So we already talked about, or we're about to talk about, Company Communicator as well. And that is an app that you should push to your whole organization. For instance, Company Communicator, if you have 100 employees and only 50 pulled it, only 50 will see the notification through Company Communicator. So will be one app that we highly suggest that you install apps, you push out to your organization so all 100 employees will get the app and available to the services that they provide. But then you have those powerful apps that we need to make sure it's front and center of everyone. Case in point, the Adoption Hub. You would simply add the app, click on it, and then move it up and down. And this will be what lands in this permanent nav bar for your organization. Any questions do we have? Please take advantage of the Ask Questions toolbar. We're here to help you. And there's more information in the chat about how you can deploy this yourself. Again, thank you much for your time, and let us know if we can help in any way. I think it's on to Vasu now.
Thanks, John. Thanks for the great demo. Let me share my screen real quick. Basically, I'm just going to extrapolate on what you're talking about with regards to the adoption related apps that we can create. Just one experience that we want to double click on, that is the FAQ bot experience. And hopefully you guys should see my screen here. So we're going to talk about how do you create a frequently asked questions bot, or how do we programmatize that experience of answering questions that repeatedly surface, whether it's for your IT teams or whether it's for your lines of business, right? It could also apply to a clinical scenario. I'm going to talk about that briefly, but I'm going to talk about somewhat more advanced functionality using the Azure bot framework first, And then we'll talk about a low-code, no-code solution for the same with somewhat deprecated functionality, but it comes free of cost to you guys if you're a Teams user today. So part of what we're going to talk about is how does this benefit an enterprise, right? Or how does it benefit a department? First off, we want you to not spend cycles on writing code or building something which we've already built. We want you to take certain piece of code, deploy it in your tenant, customize it and brand it so that you can slap your organization's personality and flair on top. We want you to know that this is secure. This runs in Azure and you have both at rest and in transit security for your data. We want you to reduce manual intervention altogether, right? What does that mean? Having to go into tickets and having to go into frequent tasks over and over, having to intervene and resolve. We want to simplify that process. We also want you to think about how much time and effort it costs from a resourcing point of view also. When you request or when you process a request. Again, this could be in the context of your help desk. This could be in the context of your department if you service the entire organization or a broader audience. And then we also want you to think about how do you get that instant feedback? How do you connect with your end users soon, often, and how do you get feedback from them? So with that, I'm going to cut over into a demo real quick. And this is going to be my version of the bot that John showed you all. Spin to the left rail here, it's called Nemo, right? And the experience that we're going to talk about is what does an end user see when they interact with an FAQ bot, right? So in this case, I've just prepped it with a sample couple of questions. I've asked to take a tour of what this even means in the first place. You guys will notice that there's an adaptive card that I can scroll through. So Nemo tells me that, hey, you can ask me a question or you can ask an expert if the bot's answer is not satisfactory, and you can share feedback. So whatever the bot surfaced, can you provide feedback to that as an end user, right? So I went ahead and kind of give it a question of my own. What is Teams? Again, just to simplify things, we're showcasing an example of a deployment or an adoption campaign that you're running. So I'm just going to ask it, hey, tell me what Teams is in the first place, right? The bot surfaces for me one of the canned responses that I've already fed to the knowledge base of the bot. The feeding of the knowledge base can happen in a bunch of ways. The first time you set it up, you can import Q&A pairs from a flat file or from a website. And going forward, you can continue to add using just the chat interface, and I'll show you how. So this is the example of the answer that got surfaced. Notice how there's a couple of options down below. I either have the option to ask an expert, or I can share feedback. Let me just walk you through one of these examples, right? So what if the bot's answer doesn't suffice and I need to escalate to an actual person? I, as an end user, can click on Ask an Expert. The bot is going to prompt me to share some more details about my ask. And we'll see it in a second here. It's going to load up here. Just a sec. Let me send back. Notice how the bot is prompting me to add a title to my ask, along with make any modifications to the description of the question. I can simply say need help on this topic. And then I can probably add some more context. And then simply go ahead and click on Ask an Expert. Similar to the workflow that John shared with you about escalating this to your champions group, you can route this question to a team. Specifically, in this case, I have a team of experts here set up. It's called Nemo Experts, and I'm basically flagging each of these tickets inside of this channel, right? So notice how it just tells me that this user is requesting support. Here's the description. Here's the question that was asked. This ticket essentially is unassigned right now. So I have the option to either chat with the user, change the status of the ticket to assign it to myself, or view the article that was surfaced to the user, right? This is relevant in cases you want to maybe cross-check and verify if the answer that you're providing even makes sense or not. Now with this, you probably imagine that you've got a smooth operating procedure for what an end user sees and does. How about we take it up a notch? How do we now extrapolate this bot to update the knowledge base on a easy sort of basis or a quick workflow to do that? You'll notice, as we might have mentioned in previous sessions, one of the modalities of using apps inside of Teams is this thing down below called messaging extensions. One of the messaging extensions that gets installed as part of the FAQ Plus app template is called the experts extension, right? So what it does is it gives me a listing of all the recent tickets. It gives me a listing of all things unassigned, right? So over a period of time, you can see, these are all the unassigned questions that came to this channel of experts. It also gives me a listing of all the assigned tickets, right? So you guys would notice that some people picked up certain tickets, and you can see who the assignee was. You would also notice that there's a direct link to the knowledge base. So not only can I assign tickets and work those tickets from this point on, I also have the ability to search the knowledge base. And these are just some questions that we've added inside of the knowledge base. I can search the knowledge base directly here, or I can click on the plus sign on the top and add a new question. Essentially, what I'm doing is I'm building on the existing body of knowledge that the bot has and adding some Q&A pair right from within the Teams interface, right? So if I see a new question as part of a new rollout, potentially, I'm simply going to add it from here without having to necessarily go into Azure and make some modifications to the app. Now, this is modality 1 for how you can do FAQ bots. Modality 2 that we're going to quickly talk about, and I'm going to cut over into this sandbox environment of mine, is again, conceptually similar model. I've got a multi-tab application. I've got a chat interface, but this time the chat interface is powered by something called Power Virtual Agents on Teams. Just to show you what that means in terms of functionality, notice again, I'm interacting with the bot. The bot is just a friendly sort of conversational experience for me that says, hey, I'm here to help you with certain types of questions. Fire away your questions, right? Again, this is similar to what John showed you as well. So I'm going to say, what is Teams? The distinction between this experience and the one that I showed previously is the backend bot infrastructure. This backend bot infrastructure is built using Power Virtual Agents. All of you who are Teams users should, under all applications, see an option called Power Virtual Agent. I'm just quickly going to navigate and show you how easy it is to spin something up. If you don't want to take the complicated Azure route, and if you simply want to create something for your department, it's going to be as simple as a few clicks. Power Virtual Agent runs on an environment scoped to a team, right? What that means is, if I go to chatbots here, I have the option to either create a bot inside a team such that all members can contribute to it, and then I can publish it elsewhere, or I can simply edit this part that I have, for example, part of the collaboration champions team, right? I'm going to go in, click on this part. There'll be 2 panels to this window that you're going to see, or the user interface that you're going to see. There's this panel which lets you test the bot on the go, and then there's everything else that shows up here. So conceptually, the next step, you'd probably imagine you want to add question and answer pairs to a bot's knowledge base. You have this notion of topics, and each topic can be flipped on or off. There's a couple of ways you can either manually create a new topic, or you can import potentially from either a CSV file or a doc file or a website directly. right? Just to give you sort of a preview into what a topic can look like, if I were to click on one of these, there's this notion of a trigger phrase. So what tells the bot that this response is being sought? And then there's this notion of an authoring canvas, whereby you can define using certain simple drag and drop measures what is the response to said trigger phrase, right? In this case, I'm surfacing an answer. I do have the option to supplement this with an additional question or a call to action, along with conditional statements and those types of things. Again, not a single line of code that I need to write. It's just drag and drop. It's just conceptual. And as long as you can define a logic for a conversation, you can create a topic. A collection of such topics becomes the experience for the bot. So I'm going to go ahead and save it. All I need to do is go in here and publish the bot. And then I can proceed to sharing the bot, which can be done in a couple of ways. One way is that you can submit the bot for admin approval. And John already showed you, the team's admin portal where the approval happens. Or you can simply add this to a team, right? In which case the bot is scoped inside of a team. If you submit this for admin approval, or if you download this and upload it as a manifest file, it becomes available for everybody in the org. But if you add it to a team, it only gets scoped to everybody who's part of the team, essentially. So those are the two modalities just to keep in mind. An FAQ plus app template. That app template is available for you all on our app templates website. It's called FAQ plus. If you want that inline topic editing functionality, or you can default to the Power Virtual Agent experience inside of Teams if you want to go down that route. Either or, the FAQ bots have proven to be successful time and again, not just for IT help desk type of scenarios, but for adoption and change management, for HR, finance, payroll, those types of line of business examples. And more recently, we've also had some of our customers try out bots for referrals, right? So the ability to use bots to guide symptoms and how symptoms are referred from a PCP to a specialist through a referral or a curbside consult or a doctor of the day workflow. That is also something that you guys can consider. Again, no need to write any single line of code. It's just drag and drop, or it's just configuration, right? That's the sort of advantage of using the PVA experience within Teams. With that, in the interest of time, I will cut over real quick into the next application. And I think John alluded to this earlier. This application is called Company Communicator. The idea for Company Communicator is to do mass outbound messaging that is actionable and that can be received by a selected group of people, or that can be scoped to the entire organization. Once again, this code is available for you to see on this website that I already dropped a link for. It's called Company Communicator. And here's what the end user experience looks like. Let me quickly cut over into another sandbox environment of mine. The idea here is for somebody running employee engagement or employee comms, or somebody running some kind of a broader awareness campaign, can come in and provide an end user with a message or a notification that looks something like this. So every morning, or maybe every when required, I can get from my organization some kind of a notification saying, hey, your training is coming up. Do you want to act on it, right? Or I might want to welcome my new employees and say, hey, welcome to Microsoft or welcome to Contoso. Here's the information on getting you selected, right? Or maybe there are some vaccine updates that you're wanting to broadly share with the organization. You can create a card that's meant for outbound messaging along with this call to action and send it out to, again, as I said, scope it to a set of people, or you can send it out to everybody in the organization. There are two modalities of how this card is received. Modality number one is in chat. So I, as an average employee, or end user receive this as a chat message. I also have the option to pin this company communicator inside of Teams as a standalone application, which means I receive notifications here, optionally on chat if I wanted to. Now, with the end user experience in mind, you probably are thinking, hey, how do I make the most of it? From experience, we've seen people pair this up with their intranet or with any adoption campaigns, similar to what John showed you. Behind the scenes, though, there's a mechanism that we perhaps want to talk about. And that mechanism involves creating this card and scoping it out to who the recipient is going to be, right? The way this is done is it is scoped inside of a team. Here in my case, I have it scoped to all members of the incident response team have access to the admin version of Company Communicator. Let's look at how a message can now be created, right? So I'm going to go ahead and click on this new message option on the top. I then go ahead and proceed to give it a title. And maybe this is update on vaccines. I'm going to grab an image. And for this case, I'll probably just grab like a standard image from the web. Simply add it to my communication. I'm going to add a summary, COVID vaccine timeline, and then maybe I can add some more details. I can decide who the author is. So if you have somebody signing off on this message, so maybe it's coming from your chief marketing officer's office, or HR, you can create that sign off. You can add a button. Button essentially contains that call to action. And notice this little option down below which says button URL. I'm just going to grab the Microsoft website here for reference. So the button shows up, the text shows up the way you configured it, followed by the link. Once I hit next, I now have the option to scope the recipient list. I can either send it to the general channel of specific teams. So I could send this to human resources or some exam rooms, or in clinical settings, I could send this to nurses, for example, or a team of nurses. I do have the option to send this to specific people, right? In the form of a chat. Remember, we looked at those two modalities. I do also have this as an option to be sent in chat to everybody in the organization, which means it comes with a certain responsibility to say, I have the rights to reach out to everybody who has the app enabled in their tenant, in their user profile. Once this is all done, we've created an additional layer of security so that it doesn't get sent out by detail. All you can do is send this as a draft. And notice that it shows up. I've got a bunch of redundant titles here. But the idea here is once you've created the draft, only then can you hit send, edit the message, duplicate it, delete it, or preview inside of this channel. So if I wanted to, I'd simply go ahead and send it. It gives me a confirmation of what the message is going to look like. I'm going to hit send, and you will see the message show up here shortly as part of the chat experience and as part of the company communicator experience. So again, in a chat-based interface, I'm going to send relevant employee communications out and allow employees to click on my call to action. Okay. That, I believe I'm going to turn it over to Mark to talk about virtual rounding and employee training. Mark, take it away.
Thank you, Vasu. Get my screen share going here. Virtual rounding. We began this discussion a little bit last week in our first session and wanted to take that a little bit further this week. Did we lose the screen share?
Yes, Mark, if you don't mind, please.
Apologies. I think I hit a wrong button. And hopefully we're back.
Yep.
Okay, virtual rounding. And when we discussed this last week, we really surfaced this slide, which admittedly has quite a bit of information on it. But this concept of virtual rounding really is about isolation situations, which have existed long before COVID-19. COVID-19 really surfaced this up en masse across healthcare throughout the world. But when we need to isolate individuals for whatever reason, it could be burn wards, infectious diseases, oncology wards, organ transplant, all these different reasons for keeping an individual in isolation. We still need to provide them good health care and access from not only doctors and nurses, but potentially other parts of the broader care team within a healthcare organization. This could be food and nutrition. This could be maybe pastoral care or other social services for these individuals. How do we connect with them in a very real way while at the same time still protecting anyone involved in the care team or minimizing the use of things like PPE or other supply items that are consumed every time someone goes in a room? Leveraging Teams meetings and the virtual rounding application, you're able to then enable that interaction with the person in the room. You can use this via dedicated devices that the organization puts in the room, a tablet, a laptop, some other mobile type device that is able to see the patient. Sometimes you're dealing with a patient who's not conscious, but you still need to be able to check the instruments, see what's going on. A Teams meeting that is directly connected into the room is a great asset for you to be able to leverage, and it allows your care team to not just be in the room or on the floor or even in the building. They can be anywhere in the world with an internet connection and be on that Teams meeting with the individual in the room. You can also go beyond that by inviting in family members that are participating, maybe just so that they can talk. The care team doesn't have to be involved. Or maybe it's part of determining healthcare plans where you've got someone who's an authorized individual that should be part of that discussion with the doctors and nurses. You can pull them into that Teams meeting as well in a very secure manner. Going even further, integrate with your EHR. You can leverage the FHIR standard. There's other ways to integrate Teams and electronic health record systems. All these things partner with your Microsoft account teams to help you enable some of these solutions for your staff and for your patients. We take a look at it more of a pictorial perspective. Some of these challenges, how do you get those people in the room with them safely, minimize risk, as well as still provide quality care, get the family involved and engaged as well, which can also be very important in all type of different situations. Putting Teams right into the middle of that makes that happen. How does this really work? Each room is set up with a device locked to Teams. As I mentioned earlier, this would be a hospital provided device, but you may also leverage any device. Say you have a lucid patient in the room, they've just got a phone or their own laptop, their own tablet. They could join a Teams meetings with you. You don't have to walk into the room. You could do that even without the virtual rounding app. You could just get their email address, connect with them virtually instead of in person to avoid that exposure and the consumption of items within the hospital. But the virtual rounding application really helps you do this in a much more seamless way and enable your broader care teams from a one-stop shop to get into there. Some of the security features of Teams allows you to disable settings within a meeting so that you can then also be in compliance with any type of regulations for what those meetings are and what is contained. Doesn't matter where people are, they're able to come in and see that. So now let's jump out of the presentation for just a moment and let's take a look. What does this look like? So here I am, and I'm in a team, And I've taken and I've actually pinned the channel from that team. If I scroll all the way to the bottom, I see my team and my test chat channel that I'm working at. So I've clicked the 3 dots and I just pinned it up top. Now that it is pinned, I could unpin it as well at any time. Within my chat, I've brought in the virtual rounding app. It is a power app that is built for you. I did that by clicking the plus sign, adding a tab, and searching for my app. So here's the virtual rounding app. It's already added as a tab. We won't go through that again. And then within the virtual rounding app, then I see how my organization has really put this in and organized it for me to be able to quickly find what I need to join my virtual rounds meetings. So I can do this from my phone. I can do this from my desktop using the Teams app or even a browser. I can come in here and I find maybe it's done by building, floor, and room. So here we see building, floor, room number 1. We see the patient's name already highlighted there. That is done. Oops, went a little fast there. That is done by first configuring the room. So we'll hit the configure gear and we set the patient's name. We can invite external participants. So this is where you could get anybody from the family, maybe even external consults if necessary. family@whoever.com. You can invite them to be part of the meeting. When patients change over and now it's time for patient B, you come back into the room, reset this, clear it all out, and you start over. Within this, I can also then just reload the tab, just join my meeting. Once I join this, gives me everything I need to know, even little guidance around PHI for the organization is within here. I click on this, and now I'm going to just continue in the browser so that I don't mess up the live event presentation. And as this loads, we'll see that I'll be in the meeting and then able to converse with the individual. Having a device locked in Teams can actually allow you then to proceed and have even video. We'll just don't use audio, and I join the meeting. I'm in a Teams meeting. Now I'm doing this through my browser and I don't see all things like I would in my regular Teams client, but I am able to have the chat. I could enable audio and be able to turn video or the audio. I could even share a desktop if I needed to share specific information as part of maybe some patient education. I can invite other people to join this as well. So I've got a lot of functionality that I can leverage as part of my care. One thing just to point out, we do have a partner who through the end of March is offering to install this for free. They'll come in, they can do this in a day or two working with your IT team, get this set up so that you have it, whether it's for COVID and beyond and some of the other isolation scenarios. They'll come in and do this. So would really highly recommend, if this interests you, reach out to your Microsoft team. They can put you in contact with that partner and make sure that happens. But that offer only lasts through the end of March. So please make sure you avail yourself of that. Our next application, employee training. We've got about 6 minutes left, so I'll just go through this kind of quickly. This is one of our application templates. So we've shared the link earlier. We've talked a little bit about this. Work with your IT team to enable this, but a great place to organize your training events inside the organization, as well as then surface that back to all of your users. What we'll do is we'll go through here, and I'm in my team. I've added the app as a tab so that I can manage the events. So here, my persona is I'm an event organizer, and we're using this from our team to create this. You see that we have a few different trainings already scheduled that are out here. You can see we've categorized those trainings, and I can manage the categories through the Manage Categories button right here within the app. I can go ahead and just add an event and put it out there, whether it's upload an image or I can just give it a color. Let's say it's patient safety. What type of event is that? So it could be in person, a Teams meeting, or let's say a live event like we're doing for this webinar. If I choose live event, it automatically changes and gives me the fields I need for the live event. For this, we'll just make it a Teams meeting. Here's my categories. So we'll just say the safety is around the HIPAA required training. I set my date and my time. We'll just leave this and we'll end it. We'll make this as a half-hour training. I can set my maximum participants. Being a Teams meeting, we know that maxes out at 300 interactive, but we'll soon go up to 1,000 for folks that can be observing the meeting. Forgot to put in the description. In here, I can make it a public or private. If I make it a private event, that allows me then to automatically register mandatory attendees, and I can put them in as I do that. For purposes here, we'll just make it public. Next, and now I can save it as a draft if I'm not quite complete, or I can add the event to the schedule. So once I add that, it will come up. It's created successfully, and now we see the patient safety as the training. So these are the ones that are scheduled and planned. From an end user perspective, they would come in and they would find the app under more apps, search for it, pin it, just like John showed earlier in our presentation. And they're able in the employee training app, then we've got chat opportunities, as well as I can view things that I'm registered for, or notices that maybe I haven't been registered for just yet. I can come discover events. I see mandatory and all events, so I've got those divided out. You see here the difference between colored type of events or when you use the picture. So you'll have to size your picture correctly so it doesn't look distorted, but then I'm able to click on one of these, see some of the details. And this one, you'll see I'm already registered, so the button doesn't come up, but I could cancel my registration if I choose that to not attend. Within here, I'm also able to see the events that I've completed and what I've registered for. So we're able to easily manage, surface these up, as well as then from an employee perspective, come back around and register for and attend. Things that I do register for do come onto my calendar with the correct links or other content as part of the invite. So with that, I will turn it over to Joe for our wrap up.
Very good, very good. Thank you, sir. Yeah, just to close out. So again, we've had a pretty exciting day, I think. In our session one last week, we spoke about the extensibility of Teams as a platform in healthcare, and today we expanded on that conversation, went through a number of the application templates. Some of them were the specialty apps, some of them were the Teams template applications. So just to give you some different ideas on how to possibly solve for some use cases. Hopefully, what you'll take away from today is really just about how easy and powerful it is to use these Teams apps and bots to improve both your employee experience, help with time management, and also the patient or customer experience in a lot of cases as well. So it's just a great tool or a tool set to be able to use in your environment and to help you achieve more. So next week, we'll take this even a step further and talk through adding some other third-party apps into Teams. Benefits there, everything, it really benefits just like today, everything in the line of work. And it brings collaboration around tasks that maybe aren't there today in some of the applications, but bring them into Teams, lets you collaborate around those experiences. So just to close out here, 10 seconds, just again, we've got a lot of programs to help support your needs, depending on the level of customer that you are. In other words, how much you've invested in Microsoft services. We have things to help across the breadth. Some of them are just like you saw in the training app there. Some are on demand, you can self-help, and some are engagements with some Microsoft folks. And again, all the way from those Microsoft ready to use solutions that are in the App Store, third-party Power Apps, the bots, app templates that we talked about, and pretty much any type of custom app solution that plugs right into Teams. So with that, thank you again. Your time is greatly appreciated. Hopefully it was valuable, and we wish you the best for the rest of your week and look forward to seeing you at next week's session. Thank you.